is the off-track chat.
Yeah, so your in-laws are here watching you this weekend?
They're going to come today, yeah. A little bit of pressure.
So-
Bar banging, the hitting.
Yeah, let the bodies
The
hit the
him,
floor.
the Vince.
Dude,
yeah,
honestly,
all that.
I
That's pretty good.
respected that.
In Birmingham?
Crossing through immigration just because, you get
Some of us
approved
do.
for, you get approved for a visa, but you still
Do you think that bike is going to be competitive in its debut season?
I don't see why it wouldn't be.
Opinions, some people think that maybe the sport has gotten a little soft, and then there are other riders who don't have that same opinion. So where do you guys
old.
old? Is it
That is
older?
old.
Experience.
He's just older. He's
Oh,
older.
Jesus Christ.
34. As happy as Luke?
Yeah.
No.
Bill's never been that happy in his life.
3 consecutive top 5 finishes, back-to-back podiums. You're racing better than you have all season. Why now?
That's a good
Race
question.
side of racing. What did that do for you as a person?
Man, that is really cool. You've done your research. That's awesome. That did a lot for me.
What is the status of that injury right now, and what is it like on the bike? It's one thing to have an injury, but where on track are you hurting? Where is the injury affecting your performance?
So I ended up hairline fracturing my hand.
At the end of this year, you'll technically be in traditional sports what we call a free agent.
Yeah.
Do you see yourself retiring with the team that you've won 2 championships with?
Everyone says trust the process, and sometimes that process can be arduous, as you know, having made the transition from MXGP to Supercross. What kept you motivated along the way?
Motocross, dirt bikes, supercross.
What was the hardest part about that waiting for that first win? What was the hardest part about that time in which you weren't sure if it would ever come for you?
Maybe it's
Have you allowed yourself a moment to let that sink in?
Yeah, it's unbelievable to be in that class of guys or group of guys.
That statement kind of begs the question, do you think had you maybe stayed in the same circumstances you were in last year, would you have the red plate at this point?
That's a big unknown. I've been enjoying the racing.
Is that a change for you this year, enjoying the racing? Like, it just seems like there's something about this climate, whether it be the people that are around you, the bikes, it seems like you're less guarded as you've been in years past.
There's some to that.
Moment, that is correct.
2 things on that. First off, shout out to Kristen because she's been going right into these team managers and just asking them the questions that everybody watching wants to know.
Hey, I think they appreciate it.
And I think they appreciate and respect the way she does it. She's been fantastic with that.
Decision in your career, and I'm just kind of curious, what did you gain training with Alden Baker? And then 2-part question, when you left, did you feel like you lost anything? So 2021, in my opinion, impressive stats. 1 main event win, 3 podiums, 4th in the standings. But what do you personally make of those numbers?
Where are you at mentally? Because I can tell that there is a level of anxiety maybe coming into situations like even this.
Yeah, that doesn't faze me as much as I might be lying if I said there was zero care about any of it, but
you don't mind being that guy.
I don't care what the other people in the pits think about me at all.
Third in the points was also so tight, you guys. As we were moving into the first main event, only 3 points separated. Travis Sewell, Daniel Herline, Garrett Steinke. I don't want to miss it. The race actually airs May 19th on FS1. Little
nice.
Plug
There
guys.
you go.
Sorry.
Did you
Someone's
know,
very good at her job.
Did you know the Dallas Cowboys you mentioned? Daniel's team.
I heard
Daniel's
something.
Team. He was just.
When I spoke with him yesterday, he actually told me that it was more of a bike issue. He said at the beginning of the season, they came in ready to go. Their bikes were well tested. He said that he feels like their bikes hit a plateau. They stopped testing, whereas some of the other teams continued progressing and advancing their bikes, making adjustments throughout the season.
I think combined almost.
Combined.
I mean, it was
17 last night. When you included his main event win last night, it was 17 on the season.
Right.
And when you look at that, there's just some kind of disconnect.
He said, hey, you did way too good this year.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the big storylines going into last night's racing was
7 Final Four appearances and moving towards March, he is always a factor.
You know, we're 19-4, and it's one of the best records that we've had. It just doesn't seem with the 4 losses in the conference. I think everybody, including my mother, is a little questioning.
Press conference too, you spoke pretty passionately about the schedule, and you said it's not good, it's not bad. I don't believe you. Am I right in saying that?
It's when you play teams, where you play teams, who you're playing once and twice. It's the way it is. Put on your big boy pants and play. But at the same time, when you've been in a conference for 30 years, as a GA on up, if I had to choose personally, I liked when it was full round robin.
What is it about March that just lights your fire?
I love March. You know.
Too many big surprises. Markelle Fultz was the first pick by the 76ers. Fultz, steam ahead, guys. See what I did there? Okay.
Lost me at Fultz, steam ahead.
I thought that was great. Was that not funny?
Gentlemen,
I like the puns.
I'm just saying that's Nigel
I heard he
Hayes.
was very unimpressive in a lot of his workouts. I've heard that for the most part, he didn't overwhelm people.
Right, he got shut down by Deonta Davis.
Hey, no, actually, I have a really fun stat to share with you guys. I interviewed Roger Curtis last year. He told me that having Michigan Speedway hold a NASCAR race twice every single year has the same economic implications as a Super Bowl in your state. You could see some production from him. I also think there's something to be said for the fact we've lost 20 of the last 28 on the road. No, Green and Wilson, they combined to give up, 5 runs in the 8th last night alone. I think those problems in pitching need to be addressed first. And then you look to us. I really liked the pick, and this is because Magic Johnson.
Good morning, David. Looking at the roster for today's spring game, there is a whole lot of excitement surrounding Josiah Scott, a cornerback from Fairfield, Ohio. As a high school senior, he registered 39 tackles and 2 interceptions. When I spoke with Coach D'Antonio earlier this week, he told me Josiah Scott is smart and diligent, both intellectual descriptors, which I found really interesting considering Josiah is such a physical player.
This morning, you know, from the limited information that we have, it's really hard to be able to make an assessment or an evaluation of what's going on, but could this turbulence find a way onto the field come the fall?
Of course it could.
Have you seen anything that you could compare to this?
I've seen players get in trouble. I've seen players.
Given your relationship with Coach D'Antonio, what do you think he's telling his players right now?
I think he's telling them, number one, this kind of thing cannot happen again.
Absolutely. You mentioned leadership. Leadership last year was always in question. Who do you see as being a leader this year coming in and unifying that team?
Yeah, I think one of the guys is Chris Fry.
Right.
Hadn't talked to anyone really since.
Brian Lewerke and Tristan Jackson,
Yes.
168 yards, 8 passes, no touchdowns though. How are you evaluating that duet?
I think they have a chance to be special.
He might be able to grow into one of those Kirk Cousins type. That's actually who I was comparing him to a lot.
A little bit of a
earlier this season.
gunslinger.
About that relationship, do you think that Brian Lewerke, and this may be premature to say, but could be limiting himself developing so many reps with one receiver? As for the secondary, let's talk Josiah Scott. 8 tackles, 1 interception. Did you expect him to have such an explosive debut?
Again, it was a great.
The intangibles. Josiah Scott is one of those players with intangibles. What is Coach D'Antonio referring to?
I think he's talking about